What's up guys, the wannabe racer back again. This time I am bringing you video from the first Criterium race of the 2019 season. We're kicking things off this year with the Ontario Police College Criterium from Aylmer, Ontario. Pretty technical course, so we'll stick a map up on screen for you. As you can see, there's a pair of 180-degree turns early in the course. The unique thing about this course is that it's on the police college driving training track, so it's a completely closed course. Last year this race did not go very well for me. I was hoping for a bit of redemption this year, since I grew up just down the road from Aylmer and actually went to school in Aylmer. So my mom was at this race, my wife, of course, and her parents also came out to watch, so I didn't want to disappoint my fans. But even though it's a new season, we are up to the same shit. This is the story of 2 early mistakes that would cost me my entire race. And right from the gun, we're off to a better start than last year, so I managed to get into my pedal in the first try, which meant I was able to slot in towards the front of the field as we hit the first of the 180-degree turns. Last year by this point, I was already off the back and trying to chase, so things felt a lot easier coming out of this corner when I only had a small gap to close. But despite a good start, which had me in those first 10 or so spots, which made the first lap feel easy, I still let gaps open coming out of every turn, which even with good positioning would eventually hurt as the race went on. As you can see, you got to sprint up to close down this gap. And without a big kick, I am moving back rather than moving forward. So pretty quickly, I go from the front few positions back to the middle, still working hard, having to close gaps, especially for this section, which has a slight uphill. Bro there already deciding he's got to drop some weight on his bike. But as I was saying, slight uphill with a cross headwind coming from the right, which made it tricky. Want to feel out a gap open there coming out of that corner. Hitting the chicane, still feeling like I'm in good position. Trying not to let any gaps open. But as we hit out this last corner, the guys at the front really jam it. Heading on to the home stretch, meaning once again I have to kick hard to try to close down that gap. Now, it's probably about this time that I started making my first mistake. I just coast back into the back of the group, and I know I'm saying to myself, don't let yourself get swarmed, but as you can see, there's riders moving up my right and left. And now I am basically at the back of the pack. You know, that notion of if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward, definitely rang true right there. So now it's a much harder kick as I avoid running into the back of that guy in black. Much harder kick to try to get back up to the group. Once again, I just coast into the wheels rather than trying to move up some positions. Hard braking means, once again, there's gaps opening and another big kick. My issue last year was basically the same thing, of eventually tiring myself out trying to close all these gaps. Still early in the race, so feeling good and able to close these down pretty easily. But yeah, this would wear you out pretty quickly over a 50-minute race. Couldn't imagine trying to do that for a 90-minute race in the Elite 1-2s. not closing down this gap very well, just coasting into the back of the group, trying to find a bit of shelter from that wind. Another time through the chicanes, and I'm still sitting at the back. There's not too much of a chance to move up through there, but as most of the field did on the first lap, the start-finish straight was a good opportunity to move forward. At this point, I should have been telling myself, you gotta move forward, you gotta move forward, but instead of putting in a couple extra pedal strokes, coasting up the left-hand side here, and getting myself stuck in before that 180-degree turn, I was for some reason content just coasting into the back of the group again. I just felt like I was missing that fight, that willingness to fight for a position, to stick myself in, to be aggressive in this race, and in the end it ultimately cost me. Rather than moving up in that opportunity, I was off the back. Jumping ahead another lap, and once again I'm at the very back. The gaps are opening right here as we go into that cross headwind uphill section. It's getting increasingly hard to close down that gap. As I said, I just didn't have the fight today, including in these sections here where I just needed to shut things down. As you can see, other riders are also getting unglued at this point. Gaps are opening at the back. One final time for the chicane with the group. I almost roll up onto those wheels, but as the leaders straighten out from the turns and get back on the gas, that gap just shoots back open. And about at this point, I knew I didn't have it. Feeling of defeat right here. I've basically given up on closing down that gap. But this year, unlike last year, rather than calling it quits after 20 or 30 minutes, I decided I could at least get a good workout in on this race, and rode around until they pulled me from the race. By that time I was already 2 laps down, and yeah, I hadn't even checked the results to see if that counts as DNF or do I get a count as a finish, because the whole time while riding around I was saying DFL is better than DNF. Last year I was very hard on myself and really down after this result. I wasn't sure exactly why I was racing bikes, if I was just going to always have shitty results. But this year I'm in a much better place mentally, and I've acknowledged that this race, even though I did want to do well at it, it's just all part of the process. My goals are for much later in the year, and this was about getting some more race experience and more fitness. Once again, we're taking a couple lessons away from this race, and we know what we need to do better in the future. Speaking of which, I hope you enjoyed this video and will come back for the next one. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up like and subscribe to the Wannabe Racer YouTube channel so you don't miss any videos.